Hey, we want to thank you right now. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
This is series 1-2 with Pastor Keys Ministries, and we're talking about living single and
Mhm.
practicing control. Pastor Key had started to tell us in series 1-1 that she was in a 17-year relationship, and out of this relationship came two beautiful children, a boy who's 11 and a girl that's 9 at this present time. And she was telling us about the rough road that she was traveling in them 17 years. Because, I had to be nosy. If you've been with somebody for 17 years, I want to know what gets a young lady to be with a man for 17 years. And today, she is not with this man. So she has invested 110% in 17 years of her life to not gain exactly what it is that she felt she wanted, at the
Mhm.
time. And so we're going to go ahead and continue because we left off saying that at the end of the relationship, he had been locked up for a little while, but she had the baby girl.
Mhm.
And when she had the baby girl, about a year later, he
Mm.
had another child with another lady outside of the home. And he's now locked back up and telling her that over the phone because she found out, if I'm not mistaken, from her sister, and the sister found out from the mother. The mother found out from the brother, and the brother only knew because he was in that circle. And so that was a tough way to find out. So I want
Yes.
to talk about a little bit about that. And then
Yes.
we're going to hit some heavy stuff, some hard stuff, because in here you said that the young man said he was a man of God, and you knew that you were a woman of God. And so you were trying to show him something or what God looks like. And yet you were fornicating with this young man, right? And so we're going to talk about all that hard stuff. And I know that there's a part in there where you knew God was dealing with you at certain times. And we're going to find out what those look like as well. Okay. And I got to tell the people this is not scripted. So I always think that, what comes from a person's heart is really who they are.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not even what they show you. They put on this big front, this big face, and
Mhm.
that's not who they are. But certainly, like when you talk, and you are mature enough to understand that this is going to help somebody somewhere down the line. If
Mhm.
I speak my truth, if I tell it from my perspective, and if I tell it from a side of um, I'm winning now, you know
Yes.
but how I got there, it was hard. It was a
Yeah.
wrestle, right?
Yes.
A
Yes.
wrestle with the spirit, man, and your feelings. And young ladies need to know what it looks like, because you walk into the church. I remember walking into the church, right? And then we're gonna
Mhm.
get right into what you got
Yes.
going on, because we need to see it. But I remember going to church, and I was sitting amongst the elder ladies, the older ladies,
Mm.
and they tell me all kind of stuff. Like I felt like I could not eat a piece of bubble gum. Right,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
girl, you stop popping that gum.
Yeah.
Stop chewing like that. Like everything you do is wrong. Like, man, can I catch a break?
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, I can imagine they had been through everything that I went through.
Yeah.
And they said, don't do it. Just don't do it. They just don't know how to explain it,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then most times nobody wants to talk about their past.
That's right.
Nobody wants to pull the skeletons out the closet
That's true.
because it's just too much,
Uh-huh.
Nobody go
Yes.
back. But I believe God push you through it, and you're not just responsible to yourself. You're responsible for the people around you and the people listening to share, encourage, strengthen, and tell somebody else how to get where you at,
Yes.
And
Yes.
certainly we're trying to get that smile on our face that you got on yours, praise God, because you're
Yes.
single and she's
Mm.
practicing self-control.
Yes.
And that is awesome to love life like that. Have that face,
Yes.
that smile, and love life and be practicing self-control and still wanting and asking God to give you a husband, a family, you know, and but you want to do it what we call the right way, God's way.
God's way. Yes.
And God's way, we know it's for our benefit, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna get into some heavy stuff today. I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I love this young lady, and I know some things are so emotional to talk about, because if you ask me the same questions I'm about to ask her, I probably couldn't even give you an answer to half of them. I'm like, can you just ask me another question, please? But she has taken that vow to say, yeah, I will talk about it. I will answer it, because that is part of my ministry. Yes. And that is, thank God for you on today. Okay, let's get right into it. You ready? Are you ready? Yes. Okay, good. Now, somewhere through this, if you got to take a sip of water, go ahead, because it's going to seem like a lot. Okay, but we're going to finish that 17 years. And we're pretty much everything in between. From the time he first got out of jail, after those 3 years, you thought he would change. You thought he would recognize who you were, that you were a good young lady for him to be with. You wasn't in the streets at all. You was actually in the church. Yes. I mean, he knew God, correct? Yes, correct. Right. And then did he say he was born again? Did he say he was saved? He said that he was, he said that he was saved. Yes. Okay. And you said you were saved. Yes. Okay, so he knows you're saved, you saying he's saved, and he's so you guys are taking each other's word, and really not necessarily paying attention too much to behaviors, right? But somewhere in there, he gets out after the 3 years, and you guys start sleeping together. Yes. What did that look like? What did that feel like? Not feel like, but feel like. What did this feel like to you? And what caused you to do anything different, if anything? To your first question, when he came home, when we did start sleeping together, it was more, it was just satisfying the flesh. Now that I look back, it was something that was a part of it. In the relationship, they say sex is a big thing, and a lot of times you think that sex is what will keep the relationship. You think that it'll keep you together. It will keep you faithful, and to each other. And sometimes that's true on one end, but not true on the other end. So when he did come home, I knew that that was something that he had been missing for a while. And it was something that he was going to want. So as the girlfriend, I wanted to make sure that I was given that part, so that he wouldn't go and cheat, but that wasn't the case. And I enjoyed it as well as he enjoyed it. But I wish that I had not done it. What makes you wish that you had not done it? Because it didn't keep him. And sometimes in that moment, I thought that that would keep him. I'm giving this part of me to you, that I know that I shouldn't be giving it to you, but I'm giving it to you, but it didn't keep you. Okay, so let's forget him for a second, and let's talk about the Lord. How did you regard God during those times, and how did you pray, and how did it affect your relationship? What did you do? Like, how did you manage him and God at the same time? I didn't regard God in that relationship. I didn't go before the Lord, and this is the big mishap
that I can say that I knew God. I was aware of God, but I did not submit unto the Lord, because I was trying to keep this man. And I say to myself now, there was a time where I would downgrade my father for this man. And I knew it was wrong, but I wanted that man, and I was willing to do whatever I needed to do to keep him.
Yeah, yeah, that seemed like right now today, that's our biggest red flag, right? That's probably our biggest red flag.
Yeah.
That if at one point you looking at God, you regarding God, you saying, God, you my father, you my dad,
Yes.
you my everything, right?
Yeah.
And then you gotta kind of put your hand up and like turn this way
Yeah.
in order to be with the man. And now you can't go to your father like you want to, because
Mhm.
if I'm just going on a natural
Yeah.
right now, right? If
Yeah.
your father knew what you was doing, like he would have a problem with it,
Yes.
right? And then you might say, but dad, this is what I want to do. And let's just take drugs for example, because some
Uh-huh.
people cannot fathom what you mean can't have sex. Everybody has sex, right? No,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be like that. This is
Mm-mm.
why we have this series, right?
Yes. Yes.
So if it was like that, I'm about to go snort some cocaine. There's no father that would say, okay, baby girl, just be safe out there,
Mhm.
or something's wrong with your father.
Yeah. Right.
uh, our father should be saying, well, no, that's not cool. That's not good for you. That's not what you should be doing. That's not what I want for you. That's not why I
Mhm.
birthed you in the first place, right?
Mhm.
And so God would have told you, had to tell you, probably over and over again, right? That
Mhm.
no, that's not the guy I got for you. That's not what I want for you. And that's not why I birthed you,
Mhm.
right? But
Yeah.
you decided that, oh, I can't talk to my father too much. I gotta dumb it down, right?
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
keep the man over here.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's a big red flag, right?
Yes, it is.
Because I know that smile that you have right now is because you can regard your father, right?
Yes.
You can go to
Yes.
him, you can hug, say, Daddy, I'm right here. What you
Yes.
got for me today,
Yes.
right? And so I know there was a time. So let's talk about the act of having sex with this man.
Yes.
And I don't want you to have to kind of relive it, but I need for the people to know and understand, like, what happens one night when he's ready to have sex. And the times where you like, oh man, God is right here. I know he's right here,
Mhm.
and I know I don't want him to see this, but he's gonna see it, and I'm gonna do it anyway. And
Mm.
I hope it works out. Like, what is going on in your mind during that time?
Uh, it's as I said, it was more of a me just wanting to please the boyfriend. And whatever that looks like, I did it. And so having sex was a big thing for him. So when he would come over, we didn't live together, but he would come to my house and spend the night. And we'll just be like watching a movie or doing something, just talking. And then it leads up, to that. And in my mind and in my heart, I'm just like, oh my God, I know this is wrong. This is what's going on in my mind. Like, why can't you say no? And I'm like, well, I know why, because if I keep declining and to him, then he's gonna walk. So it would happen. And once it would happen, um, sometimes I would get up and I would get out the bed and I would go in like another room, go like in a living room or somewhere, and I'll just be in there. And sometimes he would get up and he would come and be like, "You okay?" And I would lie and I would be like, "I'm fine, I'm okay," And he would want me to come back into the room, and then when I come into the room, I'll turn over he'll turn the other way beside me, and I would just be sitting there, and I would be so heavy and just be crying. But he didn't even know. he would just be right next to me and I would cry like so silently to where he wouldn't even notice it. But we would just sleep through the night like that. And then sometimes I would get up even throughout the night and I would go and leave again, and he became to question that, why I would leave out the room, but I never told him why.
Mm. Why didn't you tell him why?
Because I thought I trying to save the relationship. I knew he wasn't into God like I was. I knew he knew of God, but I knew I guess I felt like if I said that, then we would have split.
So you had to sleep with this man, and not saying, I don't want to put it out there like this was some type of abuse or crazy act that shouldn't have been happening. It shouldn't have been happening because you are saved and you didn't want to have sex outside of marriage. But as far as wanting it or feeling it, you
Mhm.
enjoyed it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you only enjoyed it with certain parts of you. So you couldn't be 100% in
Right.
because you knew that that's not what you wanted for you in your relationship with God. So you are on two different wavelengths. You are on a
Yeah.
wavelength with your boyfriend to say, okay, I want to please him and I want to have sex with him, but I don't really want to have sex until marriage. So there was two parts to you really,
Yes.
and I don't want people to think it's something that he did wrong.
Mhm.
That's a choice that you definitely made. And
Yes.
so he didn't make you or force you in any type of way
No.
to sleep with him, but you decided that I know I know that to have this relationship, this is something that he's gonna want.
Yes.
And so I'm gonna like it, but I rather not because I can wait. Could you have waited if he would have waited with you?
Yes. Yes.
Would it have made you happier for him to wait?
Yes.
He's saying yes, like, oh man, I wish. Yeah, okay. But so now uh she said yes. It's so direct. I like it. But at the end of the day, you could not get what you want both ways.
No.
So you sacrificed your happiness in your relationship with God to please this man.
Yes.
And long story short, you did not get the man.
No.
This is the part where I say God's thoughts are so much higher than our thoughts. His way of thinking. He
Yes.
knows who he created. He knows what man and woman look like. And he says, please do not have sex before marriage. And I'm
Mhm.
doing this just for you,
Yes.
but you don't listen.
Mm.
It took 17 years and a baby outside of wedlock for
Yes.
you, not in wedlock, outside of the relationship, outside of
Yes.
the home, for you to say, oh no, I cannot take it. I can't take another thing. Is that right?
That's right.
So the phone call, he called you
Mhm.
from jail,
Yes.
but that ain't the first thing he said. He didn't call you to tell you he had a baby, right?
No.
So you guys are talking and what happened?
Yeah, we're talking, but he doesn't know that I know at this point that there's a child. I don't believe he knows. I just told him that I needed to see him. Um, and the conversation wasn't really long. It wasn't long. I did it really short because I believe I went up that day. I believe I told my mom, I said, I gotta go see him. I have to go see him because I wanted to give him the opportunity to be truthful. And I believe it was that day I went up there, I went to go see him. And when I went into the jail, he came down and he was already ready. He already knew what was going on. And I said, is it true? And he said, yeah. And I was in shock. I was in shock of that. one could harm one like that, who has given everything and has not done any harm to them. That's what I was in. I was in shock of that. And I sat there and my whole body just shook. And
Mm.
he said to me, he said, "You want to leave?" And I said, "I gotta go." And I just got up, he put his arms around me, but I left. After he hugged me, I left. And that was the end.
When you got back to the car, were you crying?
I was crying.
Mm. And that thought process, sometimes, you can be crying because of the situation, or you can be crying because you know what's coming next, right? You
Yeah.
know, okay, this is done, this is over. What were your tears like in the car on the way back home?
Um, man, in that moment, I was just, I was hurt. There were tears of hurt, just because I was so good to him, and I sacrificed so much, and then I had even sacrificed my relationship with God, waiting for him to get to that place. So I began to cry to God, and I really started going into just asking God to forgive me. And I was telling the Lord that I was so sorry that I had offended him and I had put him on the back for a man. Um, I mean, all of this is going through me like, man, is it worth it? It wasn't worth it. Because even with giving it to you, this was the end result of it.
Mm. Okay. And how long did it hurt? Does it hurt to this day? Or where are you at with it?
Uh, it doesn't, it doesn't hurt. Hmm, I can't say that I forgot. And what I can say now is that I just don't want nobody to waste time. I don't
Mm.
want to see people. I don't want to see women go through what I went through. I don't want to see women say, "I'm believing that he's going to change." I want them to be able to say, "Okay, I'm not knocking you, but I see that change is not what you desire in this moment." And they will have the strength to say, "I got to walk away. If God says that you're for me, then we'll come back. But right
Mhm.
now, you're not doing what is necessary for us to
Mm.
move along." So now, this day, this is why this is happening, because we cannot be in relationship and not regard God. And
Mm.
when we start to compromise, what I did, I compromised to keep man, and I left my father, the one who has kept me. I put my father on the back burner, the one who does everything for me to make sure that he was okay. When the setup was, he wasn't trying to make sure that I was okay. So I'm
Mm.
well with it now. I'm good with it now. I'm
Praise
good
God.
with it.
I got to say praise God on that. At this time, is he in the children's lives at all?
No,
Is that by your choice?
it is not by my choice. He would
Oh.
make it look like it was my choice. Um, but it is not my choice.
Mm. Okay, because for sure, I know, uh, you know, sometimes, when you think about it, you can be bitter,
Mm-hmm.
and you even could have a right to be bitter because
Yeah.
it's not, and tell them your expectations.
Mm,
Now, the part about the Lord and your relationship with him is not his fault, right? But that was adding insult to injury.
Yes.
I'm trying to love you. I want you to love me back. And I want it to be monogamous, just shared between you and I. And you out
Mhm.
there with everybody,
Yes.
right? Making you look like a fool is what you
Yes.
said, right? And
Yes.
then here comes a baby to prove that you look
Yes.
like a fool in your mind,
Yeah.
right? So I get it, and funny thing is, if he was sitting in your seat right now and I was asking him questions, I know the story would not sound the same,
No.
just based on what you said. If I asked him about his relationship with God, I don't know what he would say,
Mhm.
but I would imagine that he had one,
Mhm.
because to be locked up, one would definitely meet God somewhere in there.
Yes.
You have a family, to have children,
Mhm.
just to be a man in this world, at some point, if you knew God at all, at some point God would visit you,
Mhm.
because that's what God does. And
That's what he
people
does.
can say what they want, but God will visit you.
Yes, he will.
And that's what he do. You
Yes.
understand? He
Yes.
love his people. So
Yes.
I don't want, again, I don't want to paint a picture of a bad guy. What I want to
Mm.
do is paint a picture of what it looks like to want
Yeah.
a relationship, and how sometimes we do put God on the back burner,
Yeah.
right? And tell God, okay, God, I don't need you for this part right now. I know what I'm
Right.
doing, because I'm gonna bring him to you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
God,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I done tried to go get that boy. He ain't ready.
No.
Right. And so we
Yeah.
we miss we have mishaps, and we
Yes.
take the wrong judgment steps. Like we not thinking clearly. And
Yes.
if we would only follow the word, and that's what I tell people, you think it's a bunch of rules, and you think that by trying to abide by those bunch of rules, it makes you oh so holy. No, it makes you healthy.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
makes you healthy. It makes you have to not spend those 17 years,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Trying to please somebody and bring them to the God that you serve, that he said he served, and
Mhm.
he ain't trying to do none of that.
No.
So y'all was clearly on two different pages,
Yes.
and he wouldn't understand why you didn't see the signs. And I think if I would ask him if he would tell the truth, he would say, well, she knew, she's smart, she knew, and that's the dumbest thing a man could say to me.
Yeah.
Because listen, you wasn't man enough to make it clear.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know? Oh, she
Right.
knew, she's smart. They just want us to be smart, because they're the hunters, they're the chasers, and they catch prey. That's what they do,
Yes.
and then when they think they have one, oh, I can keep her though.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know one. They
Yeah.
know the whole plan. They know
Yeah.
how to get murder.
Yes.
But at the same time, I know he would have a totally different story. Um, we are probably about 9 minutes from being done, so we can talk about this bedroom experience one more time, because something you said caught me. You said that you guys were finished and you would get up sometimes, leave the room, and sleep in another room.
Yeah.
People do that when they feel ashamed, right? When they when they that's a shame.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
they feel shame and they don't want it, the act or that feeling to last. And so you say, the least I can do after I did this is not sleep here in it. Get up out of it, go somewhere else,
Yeah.
right? Was that the thought process? Like you go into another room?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You hit it right on. There is a shame that comes with it. Um, and I didn't like the feeling. And although the feeling is supposed to feel good, I didn't feel good. I was shamed. I felt disgusted. I was there was a really, really bad shame that just came over me, and I didn't want to be in that space. Um, so I had to go out, So yeah, you're right on point with it. It's shame what it is.
So you can go out, and I'm making mention of this clearly, so the viewers, when they hear it, they can understand exactly what's going on with inside themselves, right?
Inside
You are
themselves.
a spirit. You possess a soul, and you
That's right.
live in a body, right?
That's right.
And the body can be pleased, right?
Right, right.
As much being pleased, and you
Yes.
saying, "Love this." At the same time, your spirit man can be saying, "Oh, I hate this."
That's right. That's right. Yes.
It's hard. And it's what Paul was talking about in Romans. It's a love-hate relationship. Everywhere I am, and when I'm trying to do right, sin is present.
Yes.
And it's in battle. My flesh wants what it wants.
Yeah.
But my spirit man wants to regard God.
That's right.
And it's a constant war, man. And you were in that war for 17 years.
I was, yes.
17 years trying to please the man and please God.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we kind of know that, let me ask you, is that possible?
Is it possible to
please man and please God at the same time?
It's not possible. No. No.
Right. Well, I think we'll have to sum this up right there, because there's a part in there you said he would even go and get you and say, you got to come back. Like, where you going? What's wrong? Am I doing something wrong? So he think he's doing his part, right? So
yeah.
like this whole thing is like, I'm trying to paint a picture of how can this man be any good? And maybe he was trying, but he didn't know how you truly felt, right? And maybe he knew something was wrong, but he couldn't pinpoint what it was. And maybe the fact that you guys were not designed to be together in that space at that time, you know, really pushed you back to God in a way that, you know what, Lord, I thank you for your grace and your mercy.
Yeah.
You know, because we only appreciate the sunshine once it's been raining. You know, and so you got your chance to be in the storm for a long time. And you know, self-inflicted most times, right?
Yes.
And disregard and being disobedient and you know, trying, but on the other hand, being everything you had to be for this man. Everything. So you put both feet in.
Yes,
right?
I did.
God was yet showing you mercy.
Yes, he
and
was.
This man was yet tearing you up.
Yes, he was.
Being with him just tore you apart. And so now you're in a place where you're single.
Yes.
And practice self-control.
Yes.
So the next series -3, we're gonna have to talk about the singleness. We're gonna have to get to the smile for today. The smile that's on your face. We got to get there, and we got to see what that looks like and how that came from that time to this time.
Yes.
Okay, because you said that was you was about 30 when it was over, and now you're 37 years. We got 7 years to talk about in the next episode, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna let Pastor Key have the last words, and then you got to make sure you tune in to series 1/3. Okay, go ahead, Pastor Key.
Yes. I'm just excited just for this depth of what is being put out. We so love God to be able to give us the ability to be able to testify and tell the goodness and be the truth. Amen. Because this is what this is about. So to our viewers, man, we're excited to share all of this with you, for you to grab a hold, some of you to be aware, some of you to get out of it, because truly, I can say that I'm excited. This time in my life, I'm very excited to be where I am. And I didn't do it alone. And I had to go through all of that to get where I am today. So I'm excited for you guys to go and take this journey along, to see where I've come from and to see where I am now, to let you know that you too can do it too. So I'll leave y'all with that. Love you. I'm all set.